in. So that's not something you can really do with disks. You're not going to pop disks out of a RAID array and go send them to Iron Mountain or something. So we feel like that's a really strong platform for solving this problem. What about the backups, and where do I put it when I'm done? Is a big challenge for a lot of shops, and we think StoreNext is a great solution to that. And just to the next slide, please. To illustrate the ROI, this is an updated version of an argument we made a few years ago with respect to DV, and it still holds true for the more up-to-date codecs. Particularly, there's a lot of people in the HD space that are still using HDCAM SR. Or there's even a lot of people in the SD space using Digibeta, and these tapes have their cost. And if you look at the cost of the tapes, you can see it here in the table that you can store a great deal more content on a single LTO5, and we're talking Apple ProRes 422 codec here. So it's not a skimpy codec. It's not like MPEG-2, which would be even more dense, but this is a full-size, full raster editing format. You can store much more efficiently, much more cost-effectively, much more space-effectively. Think about all of those library shelves that legacy shops are using to store their videotapes on. This costs a lot of money too. So there's a really strong argument to be made, especially if your shop is transitioning from videotape to even coming out the finished end of the workflow, ignoring the incoming, whether or not that is tape, just finishing and storing your finished content and your content library as files with LTO5, there's a really strong economic argument in favor of LTO5. Yeah.
I just want to throw in one thing. You're at the right point where I want to emphasize the issue of disaster recovery is another major motivator for tape. I think it's important for people to understand that there's some folks advocating going to all disk-based workflows with piles and piles of RAID drives put together with one solution or another. And the real weakness of this solution is the issue of duplication of data in remote facilities. The only true way to guarantee any kind of disaster recovery, and especially when you're talking about your finished media, that is essentially the most valuable asset of your company, is to be able to have geographic distribution of your data so that you can guarantee that if there is some kind of horrible disaster, you have the ability to recreate it from a site somewhere else. And no matter how you look at it, it's obvious the ROI on being able to sneak your tapes to another facility is much less expensive than some kind of expensive OC3 or OC25 solution where you're paying essentially to duplicate your storage facility twice and then communicating between the two to move your data. So this is a real compelling move for RTV that was very cost conscious about making sure that all the original content we were creating, and we were committed to creating quite a bit, was safe and secure regardless of what happened. So I think it's another point I want to emphasize is that it's still no better cost-effective way of disaster recovery than good old magnetic tape. As archaic as it may seem, it's still an excellent and very efficient way of doing that.
Yeah, and I think our last slide up next, and I touched on it before, that we have been very, very pleased with how StoreNext and Storage Manager have complemented our workflow with Final Cut Pro and with Final Cut Server especially. And this is where a file-based workflow can really shine when you have to deliver to multiple platforms, and we do. It's there for the automation. You can encode these files from the storage they sit on automatically when you're not re-ingesting clips or manually loading anything in. It's a very compelling workflow advantage as well to be able to have your an asset management tool like Final Cut Server sit on top of Quantum, StoreNext, and Storage Manager to be able to just grab at these files as it needs it and automate delivery to the web or to any number of other platforms. So it's a great bedrock for all kinds of other workflow advantages beyond what might seem obvious as you begin to examine a tapeless workflow.
Yeah, I mean, just officially, it sets you up perfectly for what clearly is the future of distribution, which is an IP-based distribution worldwide. With a smart ingest system like this that can basically transform your media to virtually any format available, and basically the intelligence to talk FTP or whatever other language you need to talk, you can guarantee that it will, with pure automation, send your files to anybody wants them in any form they want them in, whenever they want them, and that just solves lots and lots of distribution issues. And I think it's probably the future of distribution is IP-based distribution.
That's our last slide.
All right. Well, thank you guys for filling us in on what you've been up to over there. And we are going to dive into the next portion of the presentation. If I can make the correct slide come up, and there it is. Quick introductions of our next three presenters. We have Travis Cameron from New Age Media Tech. He's got 5 years under his belt designing, converting, maintaining fiber-based ST and HD video formats and systems. John Call from BYU has 7 years experience in server storage administration, Linux system administration, and network operations. And Russell Merrill has a background in production and direction of live events for television, internet streaming. That includes concerts, sports, conventions. As you can see here, his interest in new media technologies manifests itself in media management, instruction, and of course, real-world applications, which again is what we're here to talk about. So I'm not sure which one of you three I'm kicking it off to, but are you guys ready to go?
Yeah, we can take it from here. This is Russell Merrill, and we just wanted to welcome everyone to LAIE, Hawaii, in the North Shore of Oahu, where obviously location is a very important concern on our parts, and the ability for us to be able to communicate to the world is always on our mind because we are out here and so isolated. We just wanted to show you the picture of the city of LAIE, and the next slide shows you the configuration of our campus. Shows you how we're spread out over a little bit of area. And today we wanted to talk about how Fiber Channel has changed our lives as far as connectivity in the world of new media, and being able to connect our Apple Final Cut Pro editing bays with our studio. Our bays are located in the library. They're on the right side of the screen. And our studio is about 2,000 feet away in the middle of campus. And then our arena, which is where we provide a lot of we do a lot of our shows from with our HD cameras, is another 2,500 feet. And so we're spread out here in LAIE over a little bit of area on our campus. And so it was important for us to be able to find a solution where we could be able to communicate with our media gear from one side of the campus to the other. And our history out here has been very similar to maybe the history of many of the other media professionals, where you're working with a system that is based on FireWire. And so making the transition from FireWire to FiberWire was important for us to be able to manage this particular solution. So as you look at this picture, the next slide shows you the inside of our studio. This is an HD studio. The control room where we actually control anything that's happening around campus through our FiberWire connectivities. And we wanted to go tapeless, and that was a very important concern on our part. So making the transition from a tape world to tapeless was part of our interest in moving from standard def to high def as well. And the next slide will show you a picture of one of the editing bays that we have. We have 6 Apple Final Cut Pro editing bays here on campus. And the next slide shows you the connectivity, how clean it is for us to be able to use the new system that we've designed out here with the power that Quantum provides us, in being able to connect our 6 Apple Final Cut Pro editing bays around campus, the 4 that are in the library, as well as we also have an editing bay in our studio control room, and they're all connected via the fiber wire system to our data center. And our data center is located halfway between our studio and our activity center. And the data center will, on the next slide, show you. This is where we. I refer to this as our new Sony HD deck, our IBM DS5000 series storage mass storage box that we have in our data center, where we connect all of our editing bays to using the FireWire system, and allows us to store all of our files there. And we can share the files between our Apple Final Cut Pro editing bays located around campus. And utilizing this system has allowed us as professionals to be able to make the transition from the FireWire limited technology to the fiber channel technology, which really offers no limitations on our ability to perform our services. So if we were to take a look at some of the specifications of the system itself, the next slide will show us currently what we're working with. We're working with about 400 hours of uncompressed HD with write speeds of 11 separate streams up to 2010 megabits per second. And our system has the capability of up to 112 drives, or 224 terabytes. And the next slide will show us the expansion possibility using the IBM solutions of being able to expand with one box up to the specifications that you see there. And utilizing the quantum technologies, this has provided us the opportunity to make this so. And today I would like to show you the combination of utilizing the technology with some projects that we've actually been able to go through. And the next slide will show you the range of tapeless capture and projects that we are currently involved in. As far as single camera production is concerned, we just got through shooting some footage in China, and we have over 3,000 video clips for this one particular project that we have stored on our IBM SAN. And it wouldn't be possible for us to access those 3,000 clips all at once, or to manage that project without this kind of a configuration. And so in that light, you might say, hey, yeah, there's no limitations. And as far as the multi-camera capture is concerned, we were able to, a few months ago, capture, 6 live HD streams all at once from our activity center, which was 2,500 feet away from our studio, into our SAN system. And so that enabled us to all at once capture isolation streams on our cameras, as well as a line cut. And then to be able to take all that footage back, I was already on the SAN, we just go right to our editing bays and begin cutting as soon as we had ingested all the streams. And so this is another feature that this configuration as a media professional allows us to do. And then also there's no limitation on the format. We were using Apple ProRes configuration for this particular project, but as you can see on the last slide, and we have some slides coming up, we're not limited there. We could also move over to the actual uncompressed HD format if we needed to, with this kind of speed and capability, whether it comes to ingesting or editing or sharing or file correction, video correction, storage, access, and security. We've found a solution for each of these through this system. And we found that also this impacts our time and our resources. As a university, this maybe not be as much of a concern as it might be for others, but we do realize that there is a potential for finding solutions there as far as being able to maintain your resources and find efficiencies in your operations. And that's what we found through using the system. The next slide shows you the redundancy of the quantum boxes that we are using. here on campus. We're using two on the next slide with